The meeting room was cold. Captain Haiyan Wu stood beside Ambassador Mina, watching the 12 alien species that made up the Galactic Council. They sat in a circle around the humans, looking down at them from raised platforms. It was designed to make visitors feel small. It worked on most species. But Mina stood with her back straight, her face calm. Haiyan Wu had been in space for 15 years. He commanded Earth's diplomatic ship, the Horizon's Dawn. He had seen many alien worlds. He had met hundreds of different species. But he never got used to the way the Council treated humans. Like children. Like primitives who didn't belong among the stars. The Council leader, Vexthara, clicked his mandibles together. He was an insectoid creature, tall and covered in green armor-like skin. His 4 eyes focused on Mina. Humanity has been before this council many times, Vexthara said. His voice came through a translator device. For 50 years, you have asked for full membership. For 50 years, we have said no. Mina nodded. She didn't speak. Haiyan Wu knew her well enough to see the tension in her shoulders. But her face showed nothing. Another alien stood up. This one was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, with red skin and horns. War Master Krulton of the Vrelian Empire. His species controlled 3,000 worlds. They had the largest military fleet in the known galaxy. 5,000 battle cruisers. Tens of thousands of smaller ships. They enforced the Council's will across the stars. Humanity grows too bold, Krulton said. His voice was deep, like thunder. You have spread to 15 star systems. You build colonies without permission. You expand your fleet without consulting this council. This ends now. He pressed a button on his console. A holographic document appeared in the center of the room. Haiyan Wu read it quickly. His stomach tightened. The council has decided, Krulton continued. Humanity will reduce its military fleet by 80%. You have 30 days to comply. Your expansion into new systems will stop immediately. If you refuse, the Vrelian Empire will enforce this order. The room fell silent. Haiyan Wu looked at Mina. She was reading the document carefully. Her expression hadn't changed. How could she be so calm? This was basically a declaration of war. If Earth refused, the Vrelians would attack. Earth had maybe 200 military ships. Against 5,000 Vrelian battlecruisers, it would be a massacre. Finally, Mina looked up. I need to consult with my government, she said quietly. I request a 48-hour recess. Several of the council members made sounds that Haiyan Wu's translator couldn't interpret. But he understood the tone. They were laughing. Consult all you wish, Vexthara said. The decision is made. There is no negotiation. Nevertheless, Mina said, I require 48 hours. Vexthara waved a clawed hand. Very well. 48 hours. Do not waste our time with false hope. Your species cannot stand against the Council's judgment. Mina bowed slightly. Then she turned and walked toward the exit. Haiyan Wu followed her. Behind them, he could hear the aliens talking among themselves. Their translators picked up fragments, primitives. They think they matter. Should have stayed on their birth world. Haiyan Wu's hands formed fists. But he kept walking. They returned to the Horizon's Dawn in silence. The ship was small compared to many alien vessels, but it was home. Once they were in Mina's private quarters, she finally let out a long breath. That went as expected, she said. Expected? Haiyan Wu couldn't keep the frustration from his voice. Ambassador, they just gave us an ultimatum. We can't reduce our fleet by 80%. We need those ships to protect our colonies. And we definitely can't fight the Vrelians. Mina sat down at her desk. She opened a drawer and pulled out a small device. Haiyan Wu recognized it. A quantum communicator. Completely secure. impossible to intercept or trace. Only the highest levels of Earth's government had them. "Captain," Mina said, looking at him with serious eyes, "how much do you know about Project Eternal?" Hyan Wu blinked. "Project Eternal? I've heard rumors. Something the military has been working on. But it's classified above my level." "It's classified above almost everyone's level," Mina said. She typed something into the communicator. "For 30 years, Earth has been preparing for this moment. We knew the Council would never accept us as equals. We knew they would try to limit us, control us, maybe even destroy us. What did we do?" Hyan Wu asked. Mina smiled. It was a strange smile. Confident. Almost predatory. "We built insurance. On the dark side of Neptune, where no alien sensors could find it. The most ambitious project in human history. And now it's ready." She pressed send on the message. Hyan Wu tried to see what she wrote, but the screen went dark immediately. What was the message? He asked. "Operation Daybreak. Initiate reveal protocol." Hyan Wu felt a chill run down his spine. "What does that mean?" "It means," Mina said, standing up, "that in 48 hours, when we return to that council chamber, everything changes. The galaxy is about to learn that humanity is not weak. We're not primitives. And we definitely don't take orders from anyone. But what about the Vrolians? Their fleet." "Captain," Mina interrupted, "trust me. The Vrelians are about to have the worst day of their lives." Far away, on Earth, Admiral Taemin received the encrypted message. He was in his office at Earth Defense Force headquarters. He read the message 3 times. Then he stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the Pacific Ocean stretching to the horizon. Tae-Min had been waiting for this message for 5 years. Ever since he took command of the EDF, he picked up his phone and made a call. "This is Admiral Taemin," he said. "Authorization code, Alpha-Omega-7-7-9er. Initiate Operation Daybreak. Repeat, initiate Operation Daybreak. All personnel to stations. Begin final preparations." He hung up. Then he allowed himself a small smile. Beyond Neptune, in the frozen darkness of the outer solar system, something massive began to wake up. Systems that had been dormant for months powered on. Reactor cores that could power entire cities hummed to life. Hangar bays large enough to hold battleships opened and closed, testing their mechanisms. 30 years of work. 30 years of secrets. 30 years of building something the galaxy had never seen. In 48 hours. The galaxy would stand still. In 48 hours, Earth would show its hand, and nothing would ever be the same. 48 hours passed quickly. Ambassador Mina spent most of that time in private meetings with Earth's government through the quantum communicator. Captain Hyan Wu saw her only briefly. She looked tired but determined. Whatever was coming, she believed in it completely. Now they were back in the council chamber. The same aliens sat on their raised platforms. The same contemptuous looks on their faces. War Master Krelton looked especially smug. He probably thought this would be easy. "Ambassador Mina," Vextar said, "have you brought Earth's acceptance of our terms?" Mina stood in the center of the chamber. Hyan Wu stood behind her with Commander Jiho, Earth's military attaché. Jiho was a short man with sharp eyes. He had fought in the colony wars against pirates. He knew how to keep calm under pressure. "No," Mina said simply. The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens clicked, buzzed, and roared. Vextar raised his clawed hands for silence. "You refuse?" he asked. His voice carried genuine surprise. "I refuse," Mina confirmed. "Moreover, I have reviewed the colonial charter that governs this council. Article 4, Section 7 specifically states that expansion limits only apply to worlds claimed by other species. All 15 of humanity's colonies are on previously uninhabited worlds. Therefore, your expansion limits do not apply to us. Krelton stood up so fast his chair fell over. Legal tricks. You dare lecture this council on its own laws? I dare to expect this council to follow its own laws. Mina replied calmly. Hyan Wu felt his heart racing. Mina was poking the bear. No, she was poking something much worse than a bear. Your insolence will not be tolerated, Krelton growled. He pulled up a display showing the Vrelian fleet. Thousands of ships in battle formation. Your 200 ships are insects compared to our might. We will crush you. You've counted our registered fleet, Mina said. She smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. How quaint. The chamber went quiet. Vexthara leaned forward. What do you mean? I mean, Mina said, that Earth invokes Article 7 of the Galactic Charter, the right of technological demonstration. We will prove that humanity deserves equal standing in this council. Several aliens started talking at once. Article 7 was old. Ancient, really. It dated back to when the council first formed. The idea was that any species could prove their worth through technological achievement. But it hadn't been invoked in over 300 years. You cannot be serious. Vexthar said. Completely serious. Mina replied. A hologram appeared next to Mina. It showed a woman in a white lab coat, Dr. Eugene, Earth's chief scientist. She looked young, maybe 30, with glasses and her hair pulled back in a tight bun. Counselors, Eugene said, bowing slightly. Humanity has made significant technological advances in the past 3 decades. We believe these advances demonstrate our capability to stand as equals among the stars. We request permission to demonstrate. Krelton laughed. It was a harsh, barking sound. Demonstrate what? Your primitive fusion drives? Your kinetic weapons? We surpassed such technology 1,000 years ago. Then you have nothing to fear from our demonstration, Mina said. Vexthara consulted with the other council members. They spoke in hushed tones. Finally, he turned back to the humans. Very well. You may have your demonstration. But know this, when you fail, when you show us nothing of value, the Vrelian Empire will have permission to enforce the Council's will upon Earth, by any means necessary. I understand, Mina said. We will conduct our demonstration in 72 hours. At the edge of the Arcturus system. Neutral space, as the Charter requires. 72 hours, Vexthara agreed. Do not waste our time, humans. Mina bowed again. Then she turned and left. Hyan Wu and Jiho followed quickly. Once they were safely back on the horizon's dawn, Jiho finally spoke. Ambassador, are you sure about this? If we fail, we won't fail, Mina said. But what are we demonstrating? Hyan Wu asked. I still don't know what Project Eternal is. Mina looked at both of them. Then she pulled out a tablet and typed in several passwords. A video file opened. She turned the screen toward them. Hyan Wu watched. His eyes grew wider with every second. His jaw dropped open. That's impossible, he whispered. It's very possible, Mina said. And it's real. I've seen it myself. 3 months ago, Admiral Taemin gave me a personal tour. Jiho was still staring at the tablet. How? How did we build something like that without anyone knowing? Carefully, Mina said. Very carefully. Dark side of Neptune. No alien sensors can reach that far into our solar system. We used automated construction. Supplies were disguised as normal colony shipments. It took 30 years, but we did it. Hyan Wu sat down. He needed to sit down. What he had just seen changed everything. Every assumption about humanity's place in the galaxy. Every calculation about military power. Everything. They're not going to believe it until they see it, he said. No, Mina agreed. They won't. Across the galaxy, messages went out on encrypted channels. To Earth's hidden outposts. To the secret allies that humanity had cultivated over the years. Small species that the Council ignored. Species that needed protection from larger, aggressive neighbors. Species that humanity had helped in exchange for resources and secrecy. Admiral Taman was already in space. His personal ship, the Soul's Pride, was making its way toward the rendezvous point. He sat in his ready room, reviewing the final checklist. Everything had to be perfect. The weapon systems, the shields, the drives, the fighters, all of it. They would only get one chance to make an impression. An officer knocked on his door. Admiral, we've received confirmation from Engineer Hay-1. All systems are green. The Eternal is ready. Taman nodded. Good. What about the Vrelians? Their fleet is already gathering at Arcturus. War Master Krelton is bringing a battle group. 200 heavy battle cruisers. He wants to be ready to attack if we disappoint him, Taman said. Yes, sir. He's going to be very disappointed, Taman said. Just not in the way he expects. The officer smiled. No, sir. Meanwhile, on the dark side of Neptune, Engineer Hay-1 walked through the massive corridors of the Eternal. She had spent half her life on this project. She was only 25 when it started. Now she was 55. Her hair was gray. Her hands had scars from 1,000 small accidents. But her eyes were bright with pride. She ran her hand along a bulkhead. The metal was warm. The ship was alive now. Power running through every system, waiting. Just a little longer, she whispered to the ship. Just a little longer, and everyone will see you. Everyone will know what we built. In the council chamber, War Master Krelton was making plans. His second-in-command stood beside him, looking at tactical displays. The humans are fools, Krelton said. After their pathetic demonstration fails, we will strike. We will destroy their fleet and occupy their colonies. The Council has given us permission. What if they actually have something worth showing? The second-in-command asked. Krelton laughed. Impossible. Humans are primitives. They've been in space for less than 300 years. We've been exploring the galaxy for 10,000 years. What could they possibly have that would impress us? The second-in-command nodded. But privately, he felt uneasy. The human ambassador had been too confident. Too calm. That worried him. 72 hours. That's all humanity had. 72 hours to change the galaxy's mind. To prove they belonged. To show that Earth was not weak. The countdown had begun. The edge of the Arcturus system was crowded. Hundreds of alien ships filled the space around the designated demonstration zone. News had spread across the galaxy. Earth was making some kind of technological demonstration. Most species came to laugh. Some came out of curiosity. A few came hoping humanity would surprise everyone. War Master Krelton's fleet arrived first. 200 Vrelian battle cruisers arranged in attack formation. Each ship was a kilometer long, bristling with weapons. Their red and black hulls gleamed in the light of distant stars. Krelton wanted everyone to see his power. To know what would happen if Earth failed. Captain Hyam Woo watched from the bridge of the horizon's dawn. His ship was part of Earth's official fleet, positioned in a defensive formation. 200 ships total. Destroyers, frigates, a few cruisers. They looked so small compared to the Vrelian fleet. Sensors show over 300 alien vessels in the area, his sensor officer reported. Most are keeping their distance. Observation position. What about the Vrelians? Hyenwu asked. Weapons charged. Shields up. They're ready for combat. Hyan Wu nodded. Of course, they were. Ambassador Mina was on the observation station with the Galactic Council, a neutral platform built specifically for events like this. She stood with other diplomats, watching the gathering fleet through massive windows. Vexthara approached her. "Your fleet looks adequate," he said. The insult was clear. "Thank you," Mina replied, not taking the bait. "When does this demonstration begin?" Another council member asked. "We have not traveled all this way to stare at empty space." Mina checked her communicator. "Soon, Admiral Taemin is finalizing preparations." "Admiral Taemin?" Krelton's voice boomed across the observation deck. He had come personally to watch. "I've studied your admiral's record. He won some small battles against pirates. Hardly impressive." "He's full of surprises," Mina said calmly. In the middle of Earth's fleet, a shuttle launched from the Soul's Pride. Admiral Taemin sat inside, wearing his full dress uniform. His second-in-command, Captain Sangwoo, was piloting. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Sangwoo said. "Good," Taemin replied. "Take us to the Eternal." The shuttle flew past the Earth fleet. It headed toward what looked like empty space. But Taemin knew better. His eyes could see the slight distortion in the stars. The cloaking field was perfect. Even this close, it was nearly invisible. The shuttle passed through the field. And suddenly, Taemin could see it. His life's work. 30 years of planning, building, hoping. The EDF Supercarrier Eternal. Even though he had seen it many times, it still took his breath away. 45 kilometers long, 12 kilometers wide at its widest point. The hull was dark gray, designed to absorb sensor scans. But now, as they approached, lights began coming on across its surface. Running lights, navigation beacons, hangar bay indicators. The Eternal was waking up. The shuttle docked in a small bay near the bridge. Taemin stepped out and was greeted by Engineer Hae-won. "Admiral," she said, saluting. "All systems operational. We're ready." "You've done incredible work, Hae-won," Taemin said. "How are the crews?" "Excited, nervous, ready to show the galaxy what humans can do." They walked through corridors wide enough to drive tanks through. The Eternal wasn't just a ship. It was a mobile city, a fortress, a statement. On the bridge, Tactical Officer Sunhee stood in her station. She had been training for this moment for 3 years. Her fingers danced across the controls, running final system checks. "Weapon status?" Taemin asked as he entered. "All weapon systems green, Admiral," Sunhee reported. "Particle beams, kinetic cannons, missile batteries, point defense networks. Everything is ready. Fighter wings?" Flight Commander Bazora spoke up from her station. 5,000 fighters ready for launch. Pilots are standing by. "They're eager, sir." Taemin sat in the command chair. It felt right. Like this was where he was always meant to be. "Open a channel to Ambassador Mina," he ordered. A moment later, Mina's face appeared on the screen. Behind her, Taemin could see the Galactic Council and other observers. "Ambassador," Taemin said. "We're ready when you are." Mina nodded. Then she turned to face Vexthara and the Council. "Councilors, honored guests," she announced loudly. "The demonstration will now begin." She pulled out her communicator and sent a single message to Admiral Tae-Min. Back on the Eternal's bridge. Taemin received the signal. He stood up. "All hands, this is Admiral Taemin. Today, we show the galaxy who we are. Today, we prove that humanity belongs among the stars. Today, we change everything. Eternal, decloak. Full power." Engineer Hae-won pressed a sequence of buttons. The cloaking field generators shut down. Power that had been hiding the ship was redirected to lighting and systems displays. On the observation station, Every alarm went off at once. "What's happening?" Vexthar demanded. "Massive sensor contact." An alien technician shouted. "Proximity alert." Something huge just appeared. Every species pressed against the windows. Their sensors showed impossible readings. Something was materializing out of nothing. No, not materializing. Uncloaking. At first, it looked like a small moon appearing in space. But it kept coming. The shape became clearer. A ship. But no ship could be that big. By the ancient stars, someone whispered. The Eternal revealed itself in all its glory. 45 kilometers of advanced human engineering. Its hull was covered in armor plating that could withstand direct hits from capital ship weapons. Thousands of weapon ports dotted its surface, each one capable of destroying a frigate. Massive hangar bays, large enough to swallow battleships, lined its sides. The observation deck felt completely silent. Every species, every diplomat, every proud alien warrior simply stared. War Master Krelton's face went pale. His mouth hung open. His hand shook. That's impossible," he stammered. How did you?" Ambassador Minna allowed herself a small smile. "Humanity has been very busy these past 30 years. Captain Haiyan Wu watched from his bridge. Even though he had seen the video, seeing it in person was different. The Eternal was so massive that it created its own gravity field. Ships near it had to adjust their positions. "Sir," his communications officer said, voice shaking, "we're receiving thousands of transmission requests. Every ship out here wants to talk to us." "Ignore them," Haiyan Wu said. His eyes were locked on the Eternal. "Let them look." On the Vrelian flagship, Krelton's second-in-command was running calculations. "War Master, that ship. If even a tenth of those weapons are functional, it could destroy our entire fleet. Alone." Krelton couldn't speak. He could only stare at the impossible ship before him. Admiral Taemin stood on the Eternal's bridge, watching the sensor displays. Every alien ship in the area was scanning them, trying to understand what they were seeing. "They're not saying anything," Sun He reported. "No transmissions. No communications. They're just looking." "Good," Taemin said. "Let them look. Let them understand. And then we'll show them what the Eternal can really do." He pressed a button on his command chair. Across the massive ship, systems that had been dormant for years activated. Hangar bay doors began to open. Launch tubes powered up. Weapon systems came online. The demonstration was just beginning, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming next. Admiral Taemin waited. He let the silence stretch. Let every alien in the system stare at the Eternal. Let them try to process what they were seeing. Let fear and wonder mix together in their minds. Finally, he spoke into the communication system. His voice was broadcast to every ship in the area. "I am Admiral Taemin of the Earth Defense Force. What you see before you is the EDF Supercarrier Eternal. For 30 years, humanity has worked on this project. Today, we demonstrate why Earth deserves respect. Why we deserve a seat at the galactic table. Not as children, not as primitives, but as equals." On the observation station, Vexthara found his voice. This is your demonstration? One large ship? Size is not everything, Admiral." "You're absolutely right," Taemin replied. "Which is why I'm about to show you what the Eternal can do." He nodded to Flight Commander Bora. "Launch Wing 1. Bora ordered. Deep inside the Eternal, hangar bay doors opened. The first fighter wing powered up their engines. 500 advanced interceptors, each one designed with technology humanity had developed in secret. Each one faster and more maneuverable than anything the Council had seen. They launched in perfect formation, streaming out of the Eternal like a river of light. Their engines left trails of blue plasma as they accelerated. The alien observers gasped. 500 fighters from one launch bay. Launch Wing 2, Ba'ara said. Another hangar opened. 500 more fighters joined the first wing. They formed up in precise patterns, their movements synchronized perfectly. Wing 3, launch. Then Wing 4, then 5, then 6. The fighters kept coming. The space around the Eternal filled with Earth's finest pilots, flying humanity's most advanced combat craft. Captain Hyan Wu counted them on his sensors. 500, 1,000, 2,000. His voice trailed off. They're still launching. When the launches finally stopped, 5,000 fighters filled the space around the Eternal. 5,000. More fighters than some entire species had in their complete military flight. Commander Bauer smiled as she watched her pilots perform. She keyed her microphone. All wings, formation Delta. Show them what we practiced. The 5,000 fighters moved as one. They formed shapes in space. First, Earth's flag. The blue sphere with green continents. Then they shifted, creating complex geometric patterns. They demonstrated speed, precision, and coordination that made professional military observers shake their heads in disbelief. Impossible, a Vrelian officer whispered. That level of coordination requires neural linking. Humans don't have that technology. But they did. Just another secret humanity had kept. Admiral Temin watched the fighter display with satisfaction. Then he turned to Tactical Officer Sun He. Begin weapons demonstration. Target the designated asteroids. Yes, sir, Sun He replied. Her fingers moved across her controls. Particle beam arrays charging. Target locked. In the demonstration zone, 3 large asteroids floated in space. Each one was about 2 kilometers wide. They had been placed there specifically for this test. Fire, Temin ordered. Beams of pure energy lanced out from the Eternal. Multiple arrays fired simultaneously, converging on the first asteroid. The rock didn't just explode. It vaporized. One moment it existed. The next, it was dust and gas expanding outward. Time elapsed 3.4 seconds. The second asteroid suffered the same fate. Then the third. War Master Carlton felt his confidence crumbling. Those asteroids were huge. To destroy them so quickly required power that shouldn't be possible in a mobile platform. Deploy support fleet, Temin ordered next. Sections of the Eternal's hull opened up. These weren't fighter bays. These were docking stations for full-sized warships. Destroyers that had been built inside the Eternal, hidden from the galaxy. 50 destroyers undocked and moved into formation around the Supercarrier. Each destroyer was roughly the same size as the ships in Earth's official fleet. But these were newer, more advanced. They had been built using the same secret technology as the Eternal. Kinetic weapons test, Temin said. Multiple moving targets. Sun He launched several drones. They accelerated away from the Eternal at high speed, changing direction randomly. Difficult targets. Fire. The Eternal's kinetic cannon spoke. Solid projectiles, accelerated to significant fractions of light speed, tracked the moving targets. Every shot hit. Every target destroyed. Perfect accuracy. Ambassador Mina watched the Council's reactions. Vextar's mandibles were clicking nervously. Other Council members whispered among themselves. Some looked scared. Some looked angry. A few looked impressed. Dr. Eugen appeared as a hologram next to Mina. If I may explain the technology, she said to the Council. The Eternal is powered by quantum core reactors. A breakthrough humanity achieved 15 years ago. These reactors provide nearly unlimited power. They allow the Eternal to operate weapons, shields, and propulsion systems simultaneously without any decrease in efficiency. Shields? Vextara asked. Eugene smiled. Admiral, if you would. On the Eternal, Taemin nodded to his shield operator. Activate defensive shields. Full power. Energy fields sprang to life around the massive ship. They were visible as a faint blue shimmer, like heat waves in summer. The shields extended far beyond the Eternal's hull, creating a protective bubble large enough to cover a small city. Our shields can withstand sustained bombardment from multiple capital ships, Eugene explained. They can also be extended to protect other vessels. In theory, the Eternal could shield an entire planetary colony. Captain Hyanwu watched his sensor readings. The power output from those shields was incredible. His entire ship couldn't generate that much power in a month. The Eternal was doing it continuously. Now for the most impressive demonstration, Taemin said. He turned to his helm officer. Engage main drives. Ahead full. Maximum combat speed, sir. The helm officer looked shocked. In this crowded area? Trust your training, Taemin said calmly. All nearby ships have been warned to maintain position. Engage drives. The Eternal's main engines fired. Quantum core reactors fed power to propulsion systems designed to move something the size of a small moon. The massive ship began to accelerate, slowly at first, then faster and faster. On the observation station, aliens pressed against the windows in horror and amazement. Something that large should not be able to move like that. It defied physics. It broke every rule they knew about mass and acceleration. The Eternal reached speeds that frigates struggled to achieve. And it did it while maintaining perfect control. It maneuvered around other ships with grace that seemed impossible for something so massive. Stop! Krelton shouted suddenly. I demand you stop this demonstration. Taemin allowed the Eternal to slow to a halt. Problem, War Master? This is. You cannot have built this. It's impossible. Humans are primitives. You barely understand fusion power. Clearly, you don't know humans very well, Taemin replied. Dr. Eugene continued her explanation. The Eternal has a crew of 20,000. It can carry 50,000 more as Marines or colonists. It has manufacturing facilities, farms, water recycling, everything needed for long-term independent operation. It could fight a war on the other side of the galaxy without any support from Earth. Vextara's voice was quiet when he spoke. How many of these ships does Earth have? The question everyone wanted to ask. Tae-Min smiled. The Eternal is the first. The Infinity launches in 6 months. We have 3 more under construction. And we're planning to build more. Silence. Complete and total silence. 5 of these ships. 5 supercarriers. Each one capable of destroying entire fleets. Each one carrying enough firepower to threaten major worlds. Humanity had just announced they weren't a minor species anymore. They weren't even a middle-tier power. With ships like the Eternal, Earth could challenge the strongest empires in the galaxy. War Master. Krelton Zan moved toward his command console. Maybe he was thinking of launching an attack. Of destroying the Eternal before it could threaten Vrelian supremacy. I wouldn't, War Master, Taemin said quietly. His voice carried a warning that even Krelton couldn't ignore. Krelton's hand stopped. He looked at the tactical displays. His fleet against the Eternal. Could they win? Maybe, probably. But the losses would be catastrophic. And that was assuming the Eternal was alone. What if there were other surprises? What if Earth had more secrets? Slowly, Krelton lowered his hand. Wise choice, Taemin said. 1 week later, the Galactic Council chamber looked different. The same aliens sat on their raised platforms, but their attitudes had changed. They didn't look down at the humans anymore. They looked at Ambassador Mia with caution. With respect. With a little bit of fear. War Master Krelton was not present. The Vrelian Empire had recalled him in disgrace. His replacement, a more diplomatic Vrelian named Torvin, sat quietly at the Vrelian position. He had not spoken a single threatening word since arriving. Admiral Taman stood beside Ambassador Mina. This was unprecedented. Military commanders did not usually attend council sessions. But Taman was not just a military commander anymore. He represented Earth's power. His presence was a reminder of what waited beyond Neptune, of what humanity had built in secret. Captain Hyan Wu stood at the back of the chamber with other observers. He watched with pride as his government changed the galaxy's political order. Vexthara called the session to order. The Galactic Council recognizes Ambassador Minna of Earth. We have discussed your demonstration. We have reviewed your technological capabilities. The Council is prepared to make an offer. Mina nodded. I'm listening. The Council offers Earth full membership, Vexthara said. Equal voting rights. Equal representation. Access to all Council facilities and resources. This would have been a dream come true a week ago. Full membership. Everything Earth had wanted for 50 years. But things had changed. Thank you, Counselor, Mina said. However, Earth has certain conditions before we accept membership. Murmurs ran through the chamber. Conditions? The Council made the conditions, not the applicants. Conditions? Vexthara asked carefully. First, Mina said, holding up one finger, all expansion limits on human colonies must be removed. The same limits that other major Council species don't face. Earth will colonize any uninhabited world we choose, without requiring Council permission. Vexthara looked at the other Council members. After a moment, he nodded. Agreed. Second, Mina continued, Earth requires full access to the Council's scientific database. No restricted files. No classified technology. If we're equals, we get equal access to information. This caused more discussion. The database contained thousands of years of collected knowledge. Giving humans unrestricted access would accelerate their development even faster. Agreed, Vexthara said finally, with the condition that Earth shares its quantum core technology with the Council. No, Admiral Taman said firmly. Earth's technology remains Earth's property. We'll share what we choose to share when we choose to share it, just like every other Council species does. Taman was right. The Vrelians didn't share their cloaking technology. The Trandorians kept their medical advances secret. Every species protected their most valuable discoveries. Very well, Vexthara agreed reluctantly. Full database access. Third, Mina said, the Council will issue a formal apology for 50 years of discriminatory treatment. Earth was qualified for membership long ago. We were denied because of prejudice, not merit. That must be acknowledged. This was the hardest condition. Governments didn't like admitting mistakes, especially not the species they had looked down on. The Council members discussed this for several minutes. Finally, Vexthara spoke. The Council acknowledges that Earth's membership application was not given proper consideration. We regret the delay in any offense caused to humanity. It wasn't a perfect apology, but it was something. Fourth and finally, Maya said, Earth requires a mutual defense pact, not just for humans, but including 4 minor species under Earth's protection. This caused the biggest reaction yet. What species? Vexthara demanded. Admiral Taman pulled up a display. 4 species appeared. The Deltarians, the Corvin, the Munthari, the Yulani, all small species, all with only a few colonies, all largely ignored by the major powers. These species have been allied with Earth for the past 20 years, Taman explained. They provided resources and labor for Project Eternal. They kept our secrets. In return, we promise them protection. We honor our promises. Captain Hyan-Woo smiled. This was brilliant. Those 4 species had small populations but rich resources. They controlled asteroid belts full of rare minerals. They had technical knowledge that complemented human technology. And now Earth was formally announcing them as allies. You've been working with them for 20 years? Vexthara asked. Without council knowledge? The council doesn't control who we make friends with, Mina said simply. More discussion. More whispered conversations. Finally, Vexthara nodded. The Mutual Defense Pact is acceptable. But these species must also apply for council membership. They already have, Maya said. Applications were submitted this morning. I trust the council will give them fair consideration? Of course, Vexthara said. He didn't sound happy, but he had no choice. Then, Earth accepts council membership, Maya declared. Under these conditions. Vexthara stood up. The Galactic Council welcomes Earth as a full member. Welcome, humanity. The other council members repeated the welcome. Some sounded genuine. Others sounded forced. But they all said it. After the formal session ended, several species approached Mina privately. They wanted to discuss trade agreements, technology exchanges, mutual cooperation. 3 species that had previously dismissed humanity now wanted. Earth as an ally. Captain Hyan-Woo overheard one conversation. A representative from the Tele-Confederacy was speaking to Mina. We would very much like to purchase one of your supercarriers, the Tele-representative sighed. The Eternal class. Carriers are not for sale, Taman said firmly. They're Earth's sovereign property. Perhaps a smaller version? Even a fraction of that capability would revolutionize our defense fleet. We'll consider licensing some of our technology, Mina said diplomatically. But the quantum core reactors and main weapon systems will remain exclusively human technology. Later, Mana and Taman stood in a quiet observation room, looking out at the stars. We did it, Mina said softly. Full membership. Equal status. Everything we wanted. Not everything, Taman said. We didn't want to have to build a supercarrier to get respect. We didn't want to spend 30 years working in secret because the galaxy treated us like children. No, Mina agreed. But we did what we had to do. And now things are different. Do you think they'll truly accept us? Taman asked. Some will, some won't. But it doesn't matter anymore. We're not asking for acceptance. We're demanding respect. There's a difference. Tamin smiled. President Jamin wants you to lead the Earth delegation to the Council permanently. He thinks you're good at this. I might accept, Mina said. Someone needs to make sure the Council keeps its promises. Far away, beyond Neptune, Engineer Hay-1 was already back at work. The Eternal was getting final upgrades before its first operational deployment. But Hay-1 had a new assignment too. She stood in a different construction bay. A different massive framework. The Infinity was 60% complete. Larger than the Eternal. More advanced. With weapon systems that would make the Eternal look primitive. How's she coming? A voice asked. Hay-1 turned. Admiral Taemin had arrived for an inspection. Ahead of schedule, Hay-1 reported. The Infinity will launch in 5 months, not 6. Good, Taemin said. The galaxy knows about the Eternal now. But they don't know about the Infinity's capabilities. Should we tell them? Hay-1 asked. Not yet, Taemin said. Let them think the Eternal is the best we can do. Let them underestimate us again. Hay-1 smiled. Humans are good at being underestimated. We've had a lot of practice, Taemin agreed. Back on the observation station, Captain Hyan-Woo was preparing the Horizon's Dawn for departure. Earth's diplomatic ship had new orders. New routes to explore. New species to meet. Everything had changed. His communications officer approached. Captain, we're receiving a message from Earth Defense Command. It's classified. Haiyan Wu read the message. His eyebrows went up. What is it, sir? The officer asked. Deep space sensors detected something, Haiyan Wu said slowly. Something large approaching from beyond the galactic rim. Origin unknown. Aliens? A new species? Maybe, or maybe something worse. Haiyan Wu closed the message. Either way, it's not our problem right now. Command will handle it. But privately, he wondered. Humanity had just proven itself to the galaxy. They had shown strength, capability, power, but the galaxy was vast. And there were always bigger threats. Always new challenges. At least now, humanity would face those challenges as equals. Not as primitives. Not as children begging for acceptance. They would face them with supercarriers. With advanced technology. With allies. With respect. Ambassador Mina gave her final speech to the Galactic Council that day. It was brief but powerful. 50 years ago, humanity came to the stars hoping for friendship, she said. We were met with contempt, with mockery, with walls built to keep us out. So we built something else. We built the means to demand respect. We built the eternal. But understand this, we didn't build it to conquer. We built it to protect, to defend, to ensure that never again would humanity be dismissed or threatened. Now, let's try friendship again. But this time, as equals. The council chamber was silent. Then, slowly, some of the members began to applaud. Others joined. Even the Vrelian representative, Torvin, nodded respectfully. The galaxy had stood still when Ea,